For decades, the city of Toronto has been more than just a stop on a Rush tour. It is home. It is where two young musicians, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, first dreamed of changing rock music forever. It is the city that watched them grow from local teenagers into one of the most respected progressive rock bands in history. And now, after more than a decade away from the stage, they are coming back. But this time, everything is different. The 50-something tour was already an emotional event before the first note was played. It marked the first major Rush tour since 2015, and the first without legendary drummer Neil Peart, whose passing in 2020 left many fans convinced the band's story had reached its final chapter. Even Geddy and Alex spent years believing that Rush could never truly continue without him. Then something unexpected happened. The two longtime friends started playing together again. At first, there was no grand plan, no reunion announcement, no promise of a tour. Just two musicians reconnecting with the music they had spent their lives creating. Slowly, those sessions evolved into something bigger, something neither of them had expected. That journey eventually led them to drummer Anika Nilles. Known for her incredible technical ability and acclaimed work with Jeff Beck, Nilles faced what many considered an impossible challenge, stepping into music originally created with one of rock's most legendary drummers. Yet during rehearsals, something clicked. Geddy and Alex realized they weren't simply finding a replacement, they were discovering a new musical partner capable of honoring the past while helping them move forward. Now, after successful opening shows and rave reviews from fans, the tour is heading toward what may become its most emotional moment yet, Toronto. Multiple nights at Scotiabank Arena, a true homecoming. A city filled with family, friends, lifelong fans, and memories stretching back more than 50 years. But here's the question nobody can answer yet. Can Geddy, Alex, and Anika handle the pressure of the place that means the most? Because Toronto isn't just another concert stop. It's the ultimate test. For most artists, a hometown show is exciting. For Rush, it's something much bigger. Toronto has always held the band to a different standard. Long before they became international stars, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson were local kids trying to make a name for themselves in clubs across the city. Every major chapter of their career traces back to Toronto in one way or another. That history is exactly what makes this stop so intimidating. A crowd in another city might simply want to hear the hits. Toronto fans remember everything. They remember the early years, they remember the breakthrough albums, they remember the sold-out arena tours. Most importantly, they remember Neil Peart. And that means every note played during these shows will carry extra weight. As tickets disappeared within minutes of going on sale, anticipation began building across Canada. Fans weren't just buying seats for a concert, they were buying tickets to witness a moment in music history. For many, this will be the first time seeing Geddy and Alex perform Rush material on a major tour in more than a decade. The emotional pressure is enormous. Imagine standing on stage and looking out at thousands of people who have followed your journey for 50 years. Some fans attended Rush concerts in the 1970s. Others grew up with albums like Moving Pictures and Permanent Waves. Many never thought they would see these songs performed live again. Now those expectations are arriving in Toronto all at once. And then there's Anika Nilles. While Geddy and Alex are returning home, Anika is walking into one of the most passionate fan environments in rock music. Every drummer who has ever attempted Rush songs knows the challenge. Fans know the parts, they know the fills, they know every detail. Yet Anika has approached the role differently. Instead of trying to imitate Neil Peart note for note, she has focused on understanding the spirit of the music. According to interviews from the tour's preparation period, Geddy and Alex were looking for someone who could bring authenticity rather than imitation. Someone capable of respecting the original material while still sounding like themselves. That approach has earned praise from many fans so far. But Toronto will be different. The hometown crowd will be watching closely. Every transition, every solo, every difficult passage, every moment, the city that helped create Rush is about to judge the next chapter of its story. And behind the scenes, another challenge is quietly growing, one that has nothing to do with fan expectations. Because the physical demands of the 50-something tour are starting to add up, and Toronto may arrive at exactly the moment when fatigue begins becoming a serious factor. From the audience, a Rush concert can look effortless. Geddy Lee steps to the microphone, Alex Lifeson moves across the stage, and Anika Nilles attacks some of the most demanding drum parts ever written. The music flows, the crowd cheers, and for a few hours it feels like time stands still. But behind that performance lies a reality that every touring musician understands. Touring is exhausting. Even for artists in their 20s, a major arena tour can be physically draining. Long flights, hotel changes, rehearsals, sound checks, interviews, and 2-hour-plus performances create a relentless schedule. Recovery time becomes limited, and the pressure to perform at a high level never disappears. Now imagine doing that while playing some of the most technically challenging music in rock history. Rush songs were never designed to be easy. Throughout their career, Geddy Lee became famous for handling multiple responsibilities at once, singing lead vocals while playing complex bass lines and managing keyboard parts. Alex Lifeson developed a guitar style filled with intricate rhythms, unusual chord voicings, and precise timing changes. And Neil Peart's legendary drum arrangements became the standard by which countless rock drummers measured themselves. Those songs remain demanding today. That is why many fans and music critics have been closely watching every performance on the 50-something tour. Not because they expect failure, but because they understand how difficult this music truly is. So far, the results have been impressive. Audience reactions have been overwhelmingly positive, with many fans praising the chemistry between Geddy, Alex, and Anika. What has stood out most is how comfortable the trio has become as the tour has progressed. The performances feel less like a temporary project and more like a genuine band finding its identity. But Toronto presents a unique challenge. Unlike the opening nights, these shows arrive after weeks of travel and performances. Fatigue can begin showing up in subtle ways: slightly slower recovery, increased strain on vocals, and the mental pressure that comes from maintaining consistency night after night. For Geddy Lee especially, vocal endurance becomes one of the biggest talking points. Many classic Rush songs were written during a period when his voice operated at an incredibly high range. Delivering those songs decades later requires careful pacing and tremendous discipline. Every performance becomes a balancing act between honoring the original recordings and protecting the voice needed to finish the tour. Then there is Anika. While the spotlight often focuses on Geddy and Alex, she may actually face the most physically demanding role of all. Night after night, she must navigate complex arrangements that require endurance, precision, and concentration from the first song to the last. And as Toronto approaches, another question is beginning to emerge. What happens when emotion enters the equation? Because once they step onto that stage in their hometown, this won't just be another concert. For Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, it will be a reunion with their past. And that could make the night far more emotional than anyone expects. Physical preparation is one thing. Emotional preparation is something else entirely. As the 50-something tour moves closer to Toronto, the challenge facing Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson goes beyond set lists, rehearsals, and performance stamina. This is the city where their story began. Every street, every venue, and every neighborhood holds memories that stretch back more than half a century. For most bands, a hometown concert is a celebration. For Rush, it is a reminder of everything they have experienced together: the triumphs, the struggles, the sold-out arenas, and the losses. No matter how successful the tour has been so far, there is one reality that cannot be ignored when the band returns to Toronto. Neil Peart will not be there. For generations of fans, Rush was always three people: Geddy, Alex, Neil. That image became so deeply connected to the band's identity that many believed a major tour without Neil was impossible. In fact, after his passing in 2020, countless fans assumed they had already witnessed the final chapter of Rush's live legacy. That is why the Toronto shows carry such emotional significance. For many in attendance, these concerts are not just about hearing classic songs. They are about celebrating the journey of a band that shaped their lives. Some fans will be bringing children who grew up listening to Rush records at home. Others will be attending with friends who have been going to Rush concerts together for decades. And then there are the fans who once attended those concerts with loved ones who are no longer here. Those emotions will be present inside the arena, and the musicians on stage will feel them too. Geddy Lee has spoken openly over the years about the deep friendship he shared with Neil Peart. Alex Lifeson has done the same. Their bond extended far beyond music. They spent decades together traveling the world, creating albums, and building one of rock's most respected careers. When they walk onto a Toronto stage and see thousands of fans celebrating that history, memories are bound to surface. The challenge will be maintaining focus, because emotion can be both powerful and dangerous during a live performance. A surge of energy from the crowd can elevate a concert to unforgettable heights, but it can also create pressure. Every song suddenly feels more important. Every moment feels bigger. Every mistake feels impossible to hide. And then there is Anika Nilles. Unlike Geddy and Alex, she doesn't share the same personal history with Toronto. Yet in many ways, that may make her role even more important. She serves as the bridge between Russia's legendary past and its unexpected present. And as the hometown crowd prepares to welcome the band back, one question remains unanswered. Will Toronto embrace this new chapter? Or will fans spend the night comparing what they see on stage to the memories they have carried for years? The answer could define not only these concerts, but the future of the entire 50-something tour. As the lights go down inside Scotiabank Arena, all the debates, predictions, and expectations suddenly become irrelevant, because now there is only one thing that matters: the performance. For months, fans have argued about what this tour represents. Some see it as a celebration of Russia's enduring legacy. Others view it as an emotional reunion between two lifelong friends rediscovering the joy of making music together. And some have spent the entire tour asking the same question: can Russia's music truly work in this new era? Toronto is where those questions face their biggest test. The hometown audience will not need convincing about Russia's greatness. They already know the band's history. They already know the achievements, the records, and the influence. What they want to know is whether the magic still exists. And that's a much harder thing to prove. Magic cannot be measured by ticket sales. It cannot be measured by streaming numbers. It cannot be measured by social media reactions. It only exists in those rare moments when a crowd and a band become completely connected. The opening songs will reveal a lot. Will the audience immediately embrace this version of the group? Will the energy feel natural? Will Anika Nilles be accepted as an essential part of the experience rather than simply a guest performer? Those answers may arrive within the first few minutes, but the real test comes later. Every great concert has a turning point, that one moment when the crowd realizes they are witnessing something special. Maybe it comes during a beloved classic. Maybe it arrives during a powerful instrumental section. Maybe it happens when thousands of fans sing along together, creating a sound so overwhelming that even the musicians on stage pause to absorb it. Those are the moments that live forever. Those are the moments fans talk about years later. And Toronto has the potential to create exactly that kind of memory. For Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, this is more than a tour stop. It is a chance to see how their hometown responds to the most unexpected chapter of their careers. For Anika Nilles, it is an opportunity to earn the trust of one of the most passionate fan bases in rock music. And for the audience, it is a chance to experience something many believed would never happen again: a major Rush performance in Toronto. But there is one final question that remains unanswered. What happens after the last note fades away? Because the true impact of these shows may not be measured during the concert itself. It may be measured by what comes next. And that could have enormous implications for the future of Geddy, Alex, and Anika beyond the 50-something tour. When the final song ends in Toronto, there is always a brief silence that feels louder than the music itself. Not because the show wasn't powerful, but because everyone in the room is processing what just happened. For Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, that silence carries decades of history. It brings back memories of early rehearsals in small Toronto venues, the long climb to international fame, and the years spent building Rush into one of the most respected bands in rock history. Now, standing on a stage in their home city once again, they are no longer just performers. They are living pieces of that history. And for Anika Nilles, that moment represents something equally significant.